problem because it becomes like compulsive. The person wants to do to fulfill their urge, so they can go to any length, and it starts to affect their thinking, their behavior. They become preoccupied by doing it to maybe get comfort or to feel better, to deal with their stressful situations. So it becomes a disorder when now it masters your mind. You become like a slave, like your thoughts have been in captivity, thinking and acting, running to the toilet, doing it, coming back to work. You are in a meeting and the urge comes, you cannot resist it. So that is when you say it's a disorder, and it affects your psychology, your mind, and also your body.
Maybe for the sake of our viewers, is there a point where it's acceptable?
Yes. According to studies, it's acceptable because they say that 90% of men actually masturbates. And it begins at the age of 12 or 14 for boys and even for girls. But it's a taboo, it's still a stigma, because sometimes it can draw some shame towards the individual, and they can isolate or withdraw because they feel like it is not the right thing. It's acceptable in the way that human beings are also sexual beings. So, and it comes with age. And if someone is going through the urges as they are developing and they are not able to have self-control, and they start now like getting pleasure, touching their genitals, putting objects in their genitals, or such kind of using gadgets, then it can become a kind of an addiction or a disorder that needs attention.
Okay, Dr. Rahab, what triggers such a disorder in terms of sexual disorder, but specifically masturbation?
Masturbation starts quite early in life, and as people grow, they are used to touching their genitals and so on. But sometimes when people have a lot of time on their hands and they don't have much to do, that continues. Now it becomes like just impulsive, just want to touch the genitals. So having a lot of time. Also loneliness. When people are just lonely, they don't have much to do, they can get preoccupied with touching their genitals, which can progress into masturbation. The other thing that can predispose people to masturbation is exposure. Exposure to sexual movies, exposure to materials.
Pornography plays a part in this.
Yeah? Pornography plays a part. Yeah, pornography plays a big role, and like today, we have a lot of gadgets that expose, they expose people to, to those sexual movies and pornography and all that. We have movies all around and movie dens where the young people are, they are ruled all the time, and you find that exposure predisposes them. The other thing that can predispose people to masturbation is the family background. Sometimes you may find that in the family these gadgets are exposed to the children, and some families are not so careful, especially some of the families where they have issues taking care of their children. They expose them to those gadgets and to issues of sexuality. Like you may find people will just get into the bathroom with their children and expose themselves, and that makes the children curious, and they can develop from that point to a point where they can start sexually exposing themselves, and they can expose themselves to masturbation. Yeah.
Dr. Sarah, is the society aware of this disorder, that masturbation can actually be a disorder?
Depending on where or who one has been socialized to or with, that is when it can be considered a disorder. And so the society may not really necessarily know it's a disorder. But depending on the one's exposure on what you think masturbation is. For example, when we talk about the development stages of a human being, we speak of some of the characteristics of those who are in teenage age. There is a part we say that they naturally masturbate, yeah? And so we may not really say it's a known disorder. Some may consider it natural depending on the exposure that one has, and others may say it's not really a disorder. So it's upon one's opinion. But as we have said, again, it goes with the extremity of it, yeah? So the society may really not consider it a disorder, depending on what they know about it, and depending on the extreme they know about it. And so we cannot say that it is really known as a disorder, and neither can we say that it is known as a natural act. Yes.
Okay, because there's stigma around it.
Yes, there's stigma.
Dr. Jane, is it different for men and women?
Actually, studies indicate that it's a disorder for both men and women, but men are the ones who are more prone. And why they are more prone, it's because it is they are socialized that way. In some cultures, they are told it's normal. And for girls, right from the time they are young, there is a lot of shame and stigma around masturbation for girls. So I think it's for both men and women. The society needs to actually now know when it is a normal thing and when it is progressing to be a disorder, and educate the girls and educate the boys, because currently we have boys who are suffering completely with the inability to stop. Actually, why there should be sensitization, it is once you start manipulating your sexual organs with objects or with your fingers and getting gratification, that self-gratification, it is now when it becomes difficult to stop. You feel like the urges are coming all the time and you want to gratify them.
Dr. Rahab, can such a disorder affect relationship between couples?
Oh yes, this can affect relationship between couples because like Dr. Jane has said, this is a self-gratifying kind of act, and it is selfish. So what happens is that as one progresses in using masturbation, they satisfy themselves, they self-gratify, so that at a certain point they will have no need for the partner. And that means that the sexual relationship between the couple becomes strained. And of course when it becomes strained, then the couple will not hold each other the way they should. And of course you know that it is general knowledge that sex is a unifying fact between couples. So when it is not there, of course the couples will drift apart, and masturbation can do exactly that. It will cause couples to drift apart because one will have gratified themselves sexually, they'll have no sexual need for the partner. Yeah, so it actually affects the relationship quite adversely. Yeah.
Why do we speak about this topic in harsh tones?
Well, just like any other topic which is related to sex matters, they are considered as social taboos to speak openly about masturbation. It's considered as a social taboo, and simply because as a community we are used to thinking sex is not something to be spoken about openly. And so now when we come now to speaking about masturbation, you can see it is something that is already seen as an outlier. It's something that people will not want to talk about it because you fear that whatever you may say, it might not be something that other people will feel like it's a present topic to discuss. And so when now we we as a society, we are the ones to change our attitude towards this and speak as if it's just a normal narrative. Give it an ear and let us speak openly about it. At the same time, I think the religion condemn it, religiously, and even our culture, it has been looked at as a condemned act. And so every other person demonizes it. And so people don't want to speak about it because they fear they might go overboard and speak what they will be used to condemn them. So that is why we find it's not spoken out loudly, and in harsh tones people will speak about it. But I'm happy, at least now in this kind of a program, we are able to speak it, and we believe it shall open up for many other people to speak openly about masturbation.
The one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the Home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Toka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47.
Dr. Jane, is therapy recommended for such disorders?
Yeah, what happens is that masturbation is it's a kind of a secret thing that people do behind the scenes because they fear if my wife or my husband notice that I'm doing things, I'm spending so much time in the bathroom, I am okay without sex, they get frustrated. So
because I can imagine, how do you know someone has a disorder or has a problem that you would want to,
Unless you become now courageous enough and you start testifying, like, oh, I think I have this problem. Instead of breaking your marriage, you can seek help. Help is available. Therapy is available. One-on-one counseling is available. And we have programs like group counseling where people can meet certain other people with a similar demon and they can talk about the issues. We have the cognitive therapy. Cognitive therapy is about dealing with limited thinking or faulty thinking, where somebody says that I cannot do without masturbation. It's giving me comfort. And now the therapist will help you to restructure your thinking that yes, it is doable. You can start a better life. Yeah, so there's therapy, there's group counseling, there are many ways of dealing with it, and especially doctors have realized that most people who have masturbation have also other underlying issues. So they can help you to get treated with the triggers. What triggers the problem?
Dr. Rehab, following up on Dr. Jane's answer, we know that therapy is one of the options, but can someone be treated and they're fully weaned off from this disorder?
Well, like any other disorder, masturbation can be treated. But like Dr. Jane says, one has come to a point of acceptance that you're having a problem, and then seek for help. Unfortunately, people really, like any other sexual issue, people find it difficult to look for help. For masturbation, for one, it is socially, it is not an acceptable kind of behavior. There's, people will be traumatized even to imagine that people are doing this kind of an act. So you find that most people will not want to seek for therapy. They are ashamed that they are doing this. They are also, maybe society will stigmatize them when they know that they have even sought for help. So you find that there are very few people who are seeking for help, but help is available. It can be treated just like any other disorder. However, maybe it is not, like we have said at the beginning, it's not such a serious threat. It's not such a serious threat. If people would learn to do it within, the limited, accepted, space. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like in the society we live in, people will throw stones at you for saying that.
Yes, they can throw stones because, of course, like Dr. Sarah says, even the religious outlook is that this is not accepted. But, even in normal sexual practice, there is that bit of masturbation that is done. For arousal and such other things. It's only that some people, sometimes people will go beyond the boundaries.
Just to push the limits.
They push the limits. But within normal limits, even research says that this is not a problem, really. It is not like when you talk about other addictions and other problems. This can be contained. But people need to to understand the limits. They need to understand where do we break the boundaries so that they can do it within the limits. However, in sexual practice, some of these things are just normal. And they happen to couples, they happen to young people, they happen to, it's a normal kind of practice.
I can see my panel is shying off from the topic. Maybe for the sake of our viewers, we'll want to know if there are telltale signs of someone who has such a disorder, but you'll think about that. As I asked Dr. Sarah, can this disorder cause problems in the family?
It depends. Okay, like already my colleague has said, it brings strained relationships. So people, those who are in relationship, definitely, if masturbation will replace the need of a partner, you expect that it will bring a constrained relationship. And so, to me, masturbation becomes a challenge when now it has other underlying factors. For example, when now it is about pornography, when one is porno addicted, yeah, you find that in that case, you see most of the people who spend their time on either the phone or even on any device that they have been using, maybe to help them stimulate themselves. So they will spend more time. And so what does that mean? Definitely it will affect family time. It will affect the work performance of an individual. So you find a house help has been left in the house, or even any other person, but they are unable to do their duties because simply they were on those issues or doing masturbation. So in that case, now it brings a family challenge. Again, we find there are those issues like it can cause depression depending on how one has been isolated in a family. Depending on the extreme of how far the masturbation is in an individual, you find it can now bring issues of isolation or discrimination, and that to me definitely it can get into depression, it can get into anxiety challenges, and it may affect even self-esteem of an individual. So when now it goes to those levels, it will definitely affect the family bond. boards. So that is what actually contributes to a family being affected just by masturbation.
So for Dr. Jane or Dr. Rehab, either of you could take this question. How can, for the sake of my viewers, yeah, how can people spot someone with a disorder, a loved one who has masturbation disorder? Are there telltale signs or there are no telltale signs whatsoever?
I would think that you can spot somebody who has this disorder by looking at somebody who is not able to do what they normally need to do in life. Like maybe Dr. Sela has put it, you are supposed to do some household chores, but you find that you have spent all the time in masturbation. Maybe in those private places, you go to the bathroom and you take all the time. You know, people will wonder what is happening, and you want to find out are things okay. So those are just maybe a few of the telltale signs. That is when you become preoccupied.
Yeah,
with that.
It's like any other addiction.
It's like any other addiction, yeah.
So Dr. Jane, how can we prevent the young generation from falling into this disorder? Like for them to use it positively, as Dr. Sarah and Rehab have put it.
Yeah, knowing that we are sexual beings and being aware that these things can happen to both girls, boys, even adults is one thing. Accepting and being alert about the triggers. Yes, what triggers one now to masturbate? Is it because you are idle? Is it the social media? So that you spend less time in the cyber cafe or the virtual world? Because today we have the TikTok, 24/7, and people, if you are idle, you tend to have your gadget all the time, looking at what is happening, the movies and the magazines. So if someone can be aware and they're able to control, self-control and resilience, that yes, there is a video here, but I don't have to watch it. Yeah, it's gonna take me to another level that I know I can avoid. I can keep busy in other hobbies that I will expedite my energy, because it's all about energy. The food you are eating, are you keeping self-care, nutrition, and are you getting enough sleep? You know, there is a lot you can do. You can join healthy clubs, you know, just to distract your mind, from engaging in evil thinking or faulty thinking about masturbation. Just know your triggers.
Yeah, and you know, Dr. Jane, I see it on social media right now, what people call sex tapes that are exposed, they're leaked online for, you know, renowned people in the society, and you see young people saying so and so. Like recently something happened with a socialite from Uganda, and people are saying ameunganisha East Africa, like, you know, because everybody is watching that. Yeah, so I think it's a big problem, and social media probably contributes a big part in encouraging people to watch explicit.
Yeah, because social media, you know, it's a business, and it is a social addiction. And once it gets hold of you, even for young babies, you know, we need to be alert and stop maybe circulating some videos. But because it's a business and someone is making money, I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, and even the government has sort of banned TikTok Live. I don't know if you've seen that. So Dr. Sarah, as we wrap it up, how can we maybe remove or rather dispel stigma from such a disorder, so that people can speak openly and probably learn and, you know ways of using masturbation positively and not in the negative way?
Yes, one of the best ways to do it is first to consider it not dirty. We should not make people who masturbate feel guilty. If only we would consider that it is normal and natural, I think in a way we would fight that part of stigmatization. Then at the same time, we need to let every other group, either families, every other social institution, can come up and speak about it. Just make it a normal talk for in workplaces, even in churches, everywhere. We just make it as natural as it can be. We make it a healthy discussion. No longer should we consider it as a social taboo. And of course, we have said it's about how much it's done. When it goes to excess, then that is when we are now saying it becomes a disorder. But if only we can have more information given out about masturbation, if only we would enlighten people more about it, if only also we would also make people know how to avoid it, like how Dr. Jane has put it. How do you avoid, how do you make it not get to the extreme of being a negative disorder? If only we would handle it that way. And we train our children, our daughters and our sons about what is masturbation and how do you need to handle it when it comes. Because I think it's more of how we have socialized our community. Because when children start doing those things, we have been rebuking them. And when we rebuke them in the open, what will happen? They'll go now to hide in the hideouts and they'll do it. And in the end, we will not know what is happening in the secret places. So, but if we speak it openly, they will feel they'll be there to also speak it openly, and we'll be able now to handle it as if it's just like anything else, just like the way we talk about the benefits of food. We talk about the vitamins and all that. That's the same thing we shall be talking about. What is sex? What is masturbation? What is this other one? And naturally, people will feel that it's a comfortable thing to speak about everywhere and anywhere.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah. Thank you, Dr. Rahab. Thank you, Dr. Jane. That's all the time we had for you this week. For me, my takeaway from this session is that masturbation can be used in a positive way, and there are limits to everything. I've been your host, Zainab Mohammed. Until next time, goodbye.